It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News this hour. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. The governors of All Progressives Congress under the aegis of the Progressives Governors Forum has condemned in strong terms the dwindling allocation coming to governors, to states rather, from the federal account. Rising from a meeting in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, the governors asked the federal government to make available to states the allocation in order not to ground governance. They also back consensus candidacy with their party's primary just around the corner. Rashid was in Ilorin and filed in the support.
With the raising of the alarm by the governor of Niger State over the inability of the federal government to make available the October allocation to states, the Progressive Governors Forum laments the dwindling monthly federal allocation and calls on the federal government to provide the money to avoid breakdown of governance in their states.
Again, we look at the dwindling resources of the states coming from FAC and monthly allocation, and which has made it imperative that most states may not afford to pay salaries as a result of these dwindling resources. We refuse to accept the fact that this nation is broke. What is due to states as revenue should be paid to the states. This idea of cutting down what should go to states does not in any way promote democracy and democratic dividends.
The APC governors also endorsed the much-touted consensus candidacy expected to be settled for by the leadership of the party in arriving at its presidential candidate for the 2015 presidential election.
Our forum is in full support of consensus as one of the ways to produce our presidential candidate or any candidate in the party for as long as is done with regards to respect to internal democracy. There was no imposition in our party, and our party has not adopted any candidate yet, neither has the Governors Forum adopted any candidate. But we shall encourage consensus and dialogue within the leadership of the party.
The governors unanimously expressed full support for the party leadership and vowed to take over the reign of power at the center come 2015.
So we, the APC governors, are in full support of the activities of our party and assures Nigerians that we shall provide for them a credible presidential candidate that will steer the affairs of this nation in 2015.
This is coming against the backdrop of the state governors alleging starvation of funds by the federal government, and the federal government also denying that the nation is broke. Nigerians, as usual, are watching the development with keen interest. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
The Progressives Governors Forum also held a validatory session for former Governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, who stepped down from the helms of affairs on the 16th of October 2014. Here again is Rashid with the report.
In an emotion-laden speech delivered by the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Rochas Okorocha, on behalf of his colleagues, Fayemi was praised for his maturity during the post-election period in Ekiti till his last day as the governor of the state.
On behalf of the governors of all the Progressive Congress, salute you for a commendable show of character and a successful tenure in office, having handed over the office to the Ekiti State Governor on Thursday, 16th October 2014. I acknowledge that you have great vision for the state with the achievements you record.
Fayemi thanked the forum for the opportunity given to him to serve while in their midst as a governor, and deeming it fit to hold a session in his honor.
For the solidarity that you've extended to me as a member of this forum and as a governor of Ekiti State. It's a real privilege to serve our people in any capacity.
The governors, while bidding their former colleague a goodbye, assured him of their unflinching support.
Let me assure you on behalf of the Progressive Governors that you are one of us and will remain with us. Jacob, I want to say to you, we love you. We shall still be with you. and the spirit of the progressive is remain unshakable. And together, we shall continue to work for the benefit of the common man of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
On behalf of Ekiti APC supporters, Fayemi again thanked the forum as he stated that APC business in the politics of the country has just started.
On my part and on the part of our members from Ekiti State, we're grateful to this forum. We're grateful to you for the consistent role you have played as beacons of democracy. And I can say with every certainty that the best is yet to come for this party.
Though out as a governor, the assurance given by the forum will, in the eyes of political watchers at the Ilorin meeting, serve as a bond and inspiration that he remains a key figure in the scheme of things as far as politics in the APC is concerned. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Away from there now to Kano State, where the state governor and presidential aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, Rabiu Kwankwaso, says he is not under pressure to step down or accept a consensus arrangement. He maintained that presidential primary is the best way to pick an acceptable candidate, while again noting that the opposition lost previous presidential elections because of its process of choosing flag bearers. The Kano State Governor, who spoke with a select team of journalists in his office, enjoined the APC leadership to avoid the mistake of adopting a consensus presidential candidate.
People who are soliciting a question for this consensus, many of them haven't put in mind that when people go and sit down and give it to their candidate, that's consensus for them. That's the main issue, and I believe that we have to make this party very strong. All candidates or all aspirants will go around the country and again bring more hands, more people, and that's exactly what we are doing. The last few weeks, so many people joined the APC because of me, and they will continue to join, especially if I have a ticket. Most of the guys in the PDP, the good ones are my friends. And certainly, once I get a ticket.
Political parties across the divide have been very active as preparations ahead of the 2015 general elections intensify. Aspirants for various positions in all the parties have also been picking up declaration of intent and nomination forms as the 2015 general elections draw near. Aspirants for different positions have been picking up the expression of intent, of course, and showing the intention to run. The situation is no different in the camp of the Lagos APC, as its vice chairman Funsho Ologunde says all is set to ensure the success of the party in the 2015 general elections.
We already have a membership register that we will use to conduct the primaries, and the party leadership is already putting together measures to set up committees to lay on the necessary arrangements for the primaries. There are two forms that are being sold to aspirants. The first form is the declaration of intention form, and then the second form is the nomination form. At the end of the day, not all the people that collected declaration of intention forms would come round to apply for the nomination forms and complete them duly and return. So there may be, to not be out of place to have a discrepancy, to have more nomination forms sold. I mean, to have more declaration of intention forms sold than nomination forms.
A cross-section of Nigerians of northern extraction said the Northern Elders Forum does not have the mandate of the region to stop President Goodluck Jonathan from contesting 2015 presidential elections. Speaking at the news conference in Abuja, the group known as Transformation Agenda Solidarity Fund likened statements credited to the Northern Elders as a threat to the corporate existence of the country. The group also insisted that President Goodluck Jonathan has done well to deserve a second term in office.
Northerners are not in any way against the re-election of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR. And they are not even the latest threat or blackmail by Professor Ango Abdullahi and co-travelers can stop the president from presenting himself for a well-deserved re-election come 2015. Indeed, TASOP and good Nigerians support the endorsement of President Ebele Jonathan by all PDP governors and all PDP stakeholders.
Members of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party are in Kaduna for what some party members describe as a peace mission ahead of the 2015 general elections. Speaking at the meeting with key stakeholders of the party at the Government House, PDP Board of Trustees Chairman Tony Anene said the delegation was in the state to unite the party. There had been rancor in the party fold over the 2015 general elections, and considering the strength of the opposition, the PDP leader advised the party members to close rank.
You can only maintain that status if there is peace and unity. Am I right? Yes. If there is spirit of forgiveness, the spirit of give and take, and I'm very happy to see the quality of crowd here. If I don't have this number of quality people, I will not be in politics. So, Ella, you come to Edo State and be my brothers and sisters there, so that I also will sleep with my two eyes closed. On a more serious note, we had visited many states for the zonal rallies, singing one song: unity, peace, understanding, performance. Today, by the grace of God, this will be the first time for a party to have a sole candidate for the presidential race. It is because of you and because of your colleagues in the party in other states. You should be seen to be taking the lead, because those days, Kaduna was like the Northern Star.
Senate President David Mark has dismissed reports that the People's Democratic Party Integration Committee for the Southwest is plotting to impose a governorship candidate on the Oyo State chapter of the party. A group of the PDP members named Rescue Team 2015 had claimed that the David Mark-led Integration Committee was keen on imposing a candidate on the state. Speaking at the meeting with PDP leaders from Oyo State at the banquet hall of the presidential villa in Abuja, the Senate President insisted that the committee has no interest in choosing a flag bearer for them. He informed the gathering that party members in the state are to choose a candidate they are convinced is popular enough to defeat the incumbent governor. Ahead of the 2015 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has advised members of the public to shun the temptation of double registration. INEC gave this advice in a statement by its head of protocol and publicity in Rivers State, Antonia Nwobi, on Wednesday. It warned that double registration remained an offense punishable by law. The Commission said it would begin the issuance of permanent voter card in 4,442 polling units in Rivers State on Friday, November 7, and end the exercise on Sunday, November 9, 2014. It directed those that had lost their temporary voter cards to go to the polling units with a national identity card, international passport, or driving license. You're watching CoreTV News live from Lagos. I'll be back after this timeout with more stories. Don't go away.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes and bleeding from the eyes, ears and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Welcome back. For more updates, you can also reach us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTVNames. And on Twitter, it's Twitter @CoreTVNamesNG. And on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV with a space and news. President Goodluck Jonathan has performed a minor reshuffle of the cabinet to fill the vacancies created by ministers who resigned to seek elected positions. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Nuruddin Mohammed, now takes over as the Supervising Minister of Information, pending the appointment of a replacement for Labaran Mako. The Minister of State, Minister of Special Duties, Tamino Turaki, is to add the Minister of Labour and Productivity to his schedule, while Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Viola Onwuliri, takes over as the substantive Minister of State for Education. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Stephen Oru, will combine his responsibilities with those of the Minister of State in the same ministry, same as Minister of Trade and Investment, Olusegun Agaga, and Defense Minister Aliyu Gusau, who will have to fill roles vacated by their Ministers of State. The House of Representatives has approved President Goodluck Jonathan's request for a $1 billion loan to fight insurgency in the country. This was after considering the report of the joint committees that was mandated to look into the request. The committees urged the House to ensure that the government does not borrow more than the amount it said it required to fight national security challenge, and the members subsequently approved it. The Senate approved the loan request several weeks ago. The police authorities have begun a nationwide audit of all its armories. This, according to the police, is to review the current state of arms and ammunition at all commands, formations, units, and stations. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement that it was based on a directive from Inspector General Sulaiman Abba. He added that the move is part of measures to strengthen accountability of the stock of weaponry of the Nigeria police. Meanwhile, the police have set up a task force on cattle rustling and associated crimes. The team is to be headed by an assistant commissioner of police and will have tactical units in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu says the task force is saddled with the responsibility of preemptive intelligence gathering as well as engaging in anti-cattle rustling and allied crimes patrols. It's also to carry out investigation and possibly prosecute reported incidents of cattle rustling. The latest police move comes against the backdrop of recent cases of cattle rustling in northern Nigeria that have led to clashes between farmers and herdsmen. A federal high court in Abuja has fixed December 1st for judgment in the extradition request filed by the federal government against the former managing director of the Nigeria Security Printing and Minting Company, Heidiamen Okoyemo. The government is seeking to extradite Okoyemo to Britain to face trial over an alleged bribery case but the accused person, through his counsel Alex Ezion, is challenging the court's jurisdiction. Ezion insists that the court has no reference point in Nigeria where it can draw strength to grant the application. The prosecution, however, argues that there are valid grounds to extradite the former mint herdsman to Britain. Okoyemo's extradition is being sought by the British government over his alleged role in the 750 million naira bribery allegation involving central bank officials, the Mint, and an Australian firm, Securrency, between 2006 and 2008.
Between the United Kingdom and Nigeria on extradition. And that if you take a cursory look at all the provisions, except it's clear, you cannot do an extradition just that way. That was the crux of our objection and the substance of our own main case, which they responded. I think that was really the issue today, where they said we have a extradition treaty of 1931, and we said 1966 repealed that. And under our law, constitution, before you enter into any treaty, before that treaty can become binding, it must be domesticated by our own local law, by our constitution. They become part of our law.
The matter is already in open court, and you have seen what we have argued on about. So what am I going to say again?
The Federal Executive Council has approved a revision of the estimated total cost for 2 sections of the East-West Road project to 23.4 billion naira. Supervising Minister of Information Nuruddin Mohammed discussed this at the end of the meeting presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. Mohammed, who is the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, and his Niger Delta counterpart Steve Oru, said the contract has a completion period of 7 months.
After due consideration, Council approved the revised estimated total cost 2 for the East-West Road Project, sections 1 and 2, subsections 1.1 and 2, subsections 2.1 and 2.2, in the sum of 23,484,369,831 naira 99 kobo, inclusive of all taxes in favor of Messias Satraco Nigeria Limited, with a completion period of 7 months.
The East-West Road, as you are aware, is the flagship project of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, from Warri through Port Harcourt to Oron. And the original plan was for the road to be divided into 4 sections. What you are now hearing about the 5th section from Oron to Calabar is meant to further go beyond what was the original plan of the East-West Road, so that it covers the whole length from Warri, instead of stopping at Oron, goes on to Calabar. By the end of this year, at least most of one section of the East-West Road, the original East-West Road, from Warri to Port Harcourt, from there to Eket and Oron, will be eventually completed, because section.
And that wraps up this hour on CoreTV News. Do join us again at the top of the hour for more stories. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.